Welcome to our very first episode on Peace in a Pod, a podcast aimed at decoding life. I'm Shruti, a doctor, therapist, and a dancer.
And I'm Akshay, an MBA, a finance professional, and a life coach. Between us, we are marathon runners, performing artists, adventure enthusiasts, and students of life. So, coming down to the topic, we called it Peace in a Pod. This was an idea we got around, might be a month or so ago, Shruti.
Yeah.
Yeah. And since then, we were, brainstorming about logos. We got this amazing graphic designer who helped us design some stuff. And the title could not be more relevant today on the day when we are actually recording our first podcast. It's strange. We are all living within our pods, spending most of our day inside. And the one thing that all of us are hoping for is world peace and world health. So our title Peace in a Pod is pretty relevant for our first podcast.
So, quite a few of our clients, patients have been calling to ask, how do we spend these next few weeks within these four walls of the house? Each of us are in different scenarios at different stages of life. But the one thing common now among all of us is the virus out there that has made us sit inside our homes. And hence the topic we thought that would be most relevant at this moment is how to maximize one's life in the given scenario. So, again, welcome to our debut episode of Peace in a Pod. How to maximize one's life today.
Absolutely. And given the fact that nowadays everyone says, oh, we have so much time, we don't know what to do, let's actually deal with the day in a unit of time scenario, right? So we've got 24 hours, out of which 6 to 8 hours are spent in sleeping or rest, and we've got 16 hours to maximize. So what we had done an year ago was list out in detail all the activities that we do on a daily basis. And this covers 7 years of our married life across South Africa, across Chennai, across Mumbai, where we've spent a bit of time living, in each of these places with a very different culture. And when we listed all of it out, it could be broadly classified into 7 distinctive buckets of activities. And we feel that if we can strategize to do a bit of all these 7 activities, which is something we will cover in today's podcast, we surely can find the secret to maximizing life, even in the current curtailed situation. So, Shruti, would you like to take everyone through these 7 broad buckets?
Yeah, right. So the first one is physical health. Second is mental wellness. Okay, guys, you can take notes here if you want. I'll go slowly. So the first one is physical health. Second is mental wellness. Third is spiritual well-being. Fourth is family, friends, networks. Fifth is love and companionship. The sixth one is profession or education. The seventh is your interaction with the outer world through information, travel, or entertainment. So let me repeat them once more. Broadly, they fall into 3 categories. One is the physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. The second is your relationships, which includes your love and family, friends, etc. And then the third is your relationship with the outer world through your profession or information, travel, entertainment.
And the interesting thing is that if you really want to maximize a day, you have to do a little bit of each of these 7.
Yeah.
And that is the secret of maximizing the day.
Because in our experience, if you do only 1 or 2, or say you leave out 1 or 2, it throws your day off balance and your productivity really reduces and you don't feel good about yourself.
So yeah, so we'll actually explore how to do all these 7 parts of these in a day as we deep dive into each.
Sure.
Yeah. So Shruti, let's start with the first one, physical health. You are the doctor in the room, so yeah, please, give us the tips which you can help, which
Okay.
we can help.
Cool. That is a very interesting question and really very relevant now. So, what does it really mean to be physically healthy, right? In the homeopathic fraternity, which is a holistic science, its founder, Samuel Hahnemann, who was German, he defined optimal health as a smooth and harmonious functioning of all the organs of our body so that our reason gifted mind can actually work towards higher purposes of our existence. Now, that's really profound. How do we put it into practice in our daily lives? So, how do we optimize our physical health throughout the 16 waking hours of our day? Now, our physical health can be maintained by managing our energy input and the output. What are the energy inputs? It's the air we breathe, the food we eat, and the water we drink. And what are the energy outputs? It's majorly our physical exercise. Now, in the given confined conditions that we all are in, the easiest energy input to control is our breath. So, I suggest that we all practice very simple deep breathing exercises across the day as many times as you can, especially whenever you feel heavy in your chest after listening to or discussing something related to the current issue. So, how do we breathe correctly first? I would suggest place your hand on your chest and breathe in. When you breathe in, your chest should expand. So, breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Now let's do it again. You can place your hand on your abdomen as well. When you breathe in again, the abdominal wall should expand. That means you're breathing correctly. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you exhale longer, you can relax better. So I suggest you do these short deep breathing exercises across the day, 1, 2, 3, 4 times, as many as needed. Or you can just do 10 minutes of focusing on your breath.
Absolutely. And I can tell you this, guys, that I am a very, very shallow breather. And since we have actually got down to meditation and deep breathing, I realize how poorly I actually do it. And in the middle of work, when I'm in that frenzy, sending mails, attending calls, Shruti will just, in these days, just hold my hand for a second and she'll tell me, just take a minute's break and do a deep breathing exercise. And when I do this sequence around 10 times in a row, it's like restarting your entire system. And I can tell you, it's a must do. Also, from an exercising, running perspective, when we do our marathon runs, breathing in this kind of a decent, structured rhythm is absolutely essential for lasting long. So yeah, breathing becomes an absolutely important part. Keep that in mind. That's the first and the most important input in your physical well-being. The next one is water. So Shruti, would you like to take them through that as well?
So we start our day with Akshay filling all the 7 1 liter bottles in the house. And by the end of the day, between both of us, we should have finished drinking them all. That means each of us drinks 3.5 liters of water per day, and that is a rule that we both need to follow. Because, guys, each one of us needs to drink at least 3 to 4 liters of water per day, and there is no two ways about it. Fill your 1 liter bottle fully, keep it on your desk, And by the end of the day, you should have had 3 such bottles done. A lot of my patients, my clients complain that they don't like the taste of water, and there is no option but to just drink it because it's an absolute fundamental part of our body. Our body is made up of 70% water, so it needs water for its functioning on a daily basis.
And more so in these times
Yes.
to stay immune and healthy.
Yes, yes. Now, the third energy input is the food we eat. Akshay, being a real foodie, has really changed the way he looks at food now, and he still remains a foodie. So, let's ask him his journey on this.
Absolutely, sure. Thanks, Shruti. Uh, it's an interesting time when I was 120 kgs in 2015, and I've dropped around 20 to 25 kgs now. I'm still a work in progress, but since I have reduced it, I have also realized that nearly 70% of your weight loss is related to your consumption of food, and you should know what you put in your mouth. So it's such a simple rule, right? So a samosa, for example, is 300 calories. For every minute of working out or running or exercising, you burn anything between 10 to 15 calories. So you can do the math. It's 20 minutes to one samosa, and you can Google the number of calories on any item, and you'll get the answer. And especially now in this kind of time when mostly activity has become a bit limited,
Yes.
we need to be very careful and cognizant of what we are putting in our mouth. And I remember some of my friends on a WhatsApp group yesterday discussing that they've stocked up for a month or a month and a half, and it's a mixture of the most beautiful things. There's ready to eats like Maggie, there's soups, there's snacks, and there are essentials as well. But everyone needs to understand that this is a time to apportion food
Yeah.
and plan for it. And you actually have this opportunity now to cook at home
Yeah.
the stuff rather than Swiggy if necessary.
Yeah. And also, it's very important now to eat a little less than what we normally eat because our physical movement has reduced by almost 30%.
And also at the same time, you know food becomes a very interesting activity these days with your movements being limited.
Yeah.
But don't live to eat.
Yeah.
Continue to eat to live. That's I think something which on the food side is a good thing. Do stock up on your supplements, do have citrus fruits, have everything that keeps your immunity high and keeps you out of the risk zone. That's our answer.
So that winds up the energy input, that is breath, food, and water. Now, talking about energy output, that is physical activity. So, given the current scenario, I would suggest that you spend at least 60 to 90 minutes doing some physical activity. Now, that could range from yoga, simple stretching exercises, core exercises, and Zumba, random dancing, and right up to insanity workout.
Yes. Insanity Workout is a video set that is available on YouTube that
Okay.
is meant for working from home, but that can burn many more calories than what
Yeah.
normal things can burn. And you can look at a range of activities and choose whichever one you want. I personally have chosen walking, which is something I've always done. I'm trying my best to at least complete 7 to 10,000 steps every day, even walking at home. And the way to split it is 3 sets of 20 to 25 minutes each. You'll do 100 steps in a minute. 60 to 90 minutes out of the total 960 minutes, that is 16 waking hours, has to be dedicated to exercise or being physically active, again to ensure that our immunity stays at an optimum level, because a lot of us are not reducing the quantities of food that we are eating, right? So we need to keep our calorie burn constant.
Right.
So that winds up the physical health area. Again, just to summarize, we discussed the energy inputs that we need to be careful about: breathing well, drinking enough water, eating the right quantity and type of food, and also dedicating at least 60 to 90 minutes of physical activity. Yes?
Yes.
Let's move on to mental health or mental fitness as we call it. So, Shruti, you are a trained therapist. Can you please, help us out?
Sure. So the other day, one of my patients called me to say that her cough had reduced, but overall she was not feeling good. And I asked her, are you aware of the whole corona thing and are you reading? Yes, yes, of course, I'm watching it the whole day. I'm watching the news, I'm up to date. And I said, yes, please stop doing exactly that. I asked her to limit her news updates to only 2 to 3 times in the day. Guys, we need to be very mindful of how much we are watching. Between ourselves, also, we have decided that for every one topic of corona, we will discuss 10 other positive, unrelated topics that will keep us positive. And in fact, this is the purpose of creating this podcast, to keep our minds productive in a meaningful way during these times. In one of the books I recently read, that on a daily basis, our mind houses about 50,000 thoughts. That means in 16 waking hours, we have 50,000 thoughts. So Akshay, the mathematician, told me that that comes to an average of 50 thoughts per minute. Wow, that's insane. Can you imagine how fast our minds are racing?
And we recently read that, you can't control the mind by stopping thoughts. You can't be thoughtless. That's a very advanced level of, existence. So the best way to be happy or maximize your life in the current situation from a mind perspective is to substitute negative worrisome thoughts with positive bright thoughts. And I recently had an example that I was browsing through Twitter and there were all kinds of facts and figures and depressing things coming up, and then suddenly there was a set of 10 best cover drives of Sachin Tendulkar. Amazing, what a break in the middle of all that. And I just saw all 10 of them, and suddenly I was transported to a completely different scenario. And it's not that it reduced my seriousness about corona, but I know that right now being happy is good for my immunity, and that is what is going to help me in the current scenario.
Yeah.
Rather than reading every single news and just getting worse. Like a client of ours yesterday was saying, I know every patient, what happened, whom he contracted, but I can't sleep at night. I'm saying, what's the use of that information or knowledge, which is making your health even poorer, right? So don't have this info obesity, or as we call it, infobesity in this current scenario.
Yeah.
Feed your mind the right thoughts. Limit it to 3 to 4 updates on corona. Silence WhatsApp groups as much as possible, especially because nearly 50% of the news, as you have seen, is not true or doesn't have a fact which is correct. I was planning to speak on this podcast that nature is kind of refreshing itself. Dolphins are coming back. Just now there's a news saying even that is false. So it's really strange. So don't get too serious about it. We will be fine. All is well.
And yeah, like focusing on the present moment that we have now is more important than any other day, today. And also gratitude for what you have right now, for your breath that you have with you right now, for the people you have, the people that love you, for what you are out there. You can help somebody by being positive. Just maintain a gratitude journal every day. Write 10 things that you're grateful for today and live each day by day. So with that, we complete 2 topics out of 7, that is physical and mental health. Moving on now to spiritual well-being. So Akshay asked me an important question yesterday. What do you think this current situation is trying to teach us? So if we think of how this disease has come to occur, is as a result of humanity crossing its limits.
Yes.
And the way to avoid the disease is to stay within our limits.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So to be confined, to socially distance ourselves, keeping us held up in our own pods, it is making us slow down. It is making us live minimally. We have moved from an auto mode to manual mode. So when I speak to so many clients and patients, they always tell me that, when I ask them how are you, and they say, oh, it's the same. My life is going on. I get up at this time. I go to work at this time. I get my coffee at this time. I come back home, and everything is set. It goes in one mechanical fashion, and they complain about it then. And now things have slowed down, and they're saying, what do we do with the time we have?
And we can't wait to get back to the same auto mode, right?
Yeah. And now when I say manual mode, we literally have to take conscious decisions and choices of everything we are doing in the day.
Absolutely.
Right from what are we going to eat today? How much am I going to walk or move today? Whom am I going to call and speak to? Everything is now a conscious choice. It is making us more mindful, slow, and live minimalistically.
And to think of it, one way that I try to, keep myself balanced in the scenario is this could have been much worse.
Yeah.
And we are still having the choice to defend the disease by staying within our limits. And
Yes.
we cannot complain about having to stay within our limits.
Yes.
And there's another story which comes to me here about, us and our choices at this point of time, about how we can keep our mindset and our, our nature at this point of time. So there was a saint who used to kind of guard a village, right? And one day he sees this spirit coming towards the village. And he asks the spirit, see, you can't come in. Yeah, I guard this village. So the spirit says, I am the spirit of smallpox. And I need to take 3 lives from this village because that's what destiny has entailed. Only 3, not more. So the saint said, okay, if destiny has it, yes, it has to be done. So the next day, 3 people got affected and they passed away. The next day after that, 100 more passed on. And the next day after that, another 200. And the saint got so worked up, he went back to the spirit and said, but what did you do? You promised me only 3. And he's saying, but sir, I actually only took 3. The rest of them chose to go because of their own fears. So at this point of time, keep yourself positive, be happy. And not just be happy yourself, but this is a wonderful opportunity to spread happiness and positivity among your friends, your families, and your networks, which actually takes us to point number 4 out of 7, which is, connecting with the people around you. India has had a telecom revolution. India has had an internet revolution. Right now, there are hundreds of GBs of data sitting in our phones unutilized. Phone calls are free, SMSs are free, you got WhatsApp. This is the time to use it, guys. Yesterday, Shruti was messaging nearly every client of hers to just ask, how are you feeling? Are you okay? And 2 or 3 of them said, I'm actually in tears that somebody remembered me at this point of time. The problem is that we think it's me versus the virus. And you go into this kind of mental isolation, which is very, very derogatory for your personal health right now. So just go through your WhatsApp list. There'll be at least 200, 300 contacts. Browse through that and just say a hi, how are you to people. It changes their day. Our elders are struggling. For them, it's literally the novel coronavirus. It's novel because they're having to do something which is so out of their comfort zone, that is being held at home. So do a video call with them. Teach them how to download the app. If you have a senior citizen in your house, this is a time to even do a small tech class with them. Maybe bring them up to speed as to what is happening in life. Create that culture. Draw up a list of all your stakeholders, your employees, your colleagues, your friends, and message them. Talk to them. Everyone needs it. Dedicate half an hour in the day to actually do this, and you will see that you are making a major positive impact. And you need not feel amazing to tell this. That's important, right? I'm not asking you to fake it, but messaging another person and asking that person if that person is fine, even if you are not fine, is one of the most selfless acts you can do at this point of time.
And that will definitely make you feel good.
Absolutely. And this is for life. people will remember those who in these challenging circumstances could think beyond themselves.
True.
Yeah. Let's move on to point number 5, which is your love, your companionship, or your partner and the relationship that you want to keep with them. So, Shruti, do you want to take that?
Sure. Right now, there are 4 types of relationship statuses. You are not in a relationship and you're not interested to be in a relationship. That is the first. Second is you are not in a relationship but you are interested to be in one. The third is you are in a relationship, and that could range from just dating or living in or being married. The last one is you are out of a relationship. You are not in a relationship right now. In all these spheres, there is something that each one of you can do to work on your current scenario. For those of you who are not in a relationship, you can take your priority that you want to work on right now and maximize it to the fullest. You can use techniques such as vision board exercises, goal setting exercises, and actually structure this entire process in a beautiful manner for these days and weeks to come.
Absolutely. Spending an hour a day at this point of time on something like a vision board exercise is invaluable because it's really peaceful outside, guys. There's no honking, there's nothing to distract you right now from that goal of yours, which is so set in your mind.
Now, for those who are seeking companionship or seeking love, I'm sure you'll think now that there's no way to date and no way to hang around and find the person. But there is some work or prep that you can do in this time. I find a lot of my clients getting into relationships without actually knowing what they want in a relationship. And that's how I have figured a way out to help them. When you work on yourself, towards your best, your very best version, you automatically attract that exact complementing match for yourself as your reflection. So, whatever you expect or you seek in the relationship, write it down and bring yourself to that level, because what you bring to the table, only that can you expect that person also to bring to the table. This process may take you some time and take you to the depths of your subconscious. It can be a bit intimidating and you might find yourself resisting, but it's extremely important so that you go with clarity into a relationship. So this kind of prep is what you can do while you are maximizing your time. The next is for those who are already in a relationship, whether they are dating or they are married or they are living in. How do you use this time? Akshay, do you want to share some?
Yeah, sure, Shruti. I think it's a nice time to establish the fundamentals of your relationship again.
Yeah.
The first one being communication, right? Without communication, no relationship can actually exist. So, if there is some part of your communication that you've been wanting to work on, do it now.
Yeah.
You'll be sitting next to each other
Yeah.
and you can't be lost on your phones.
Yeah.
Look at each other, talk. Another thing which I would like to suggest is go down memory lane. Try to see why and how are you together at this moment of time, right?
Yeah.
So it can mean cutely reliving your first date at home, cooking the same food that you had maybe, or giving secret gifts to each other cutely right from the home thing. Watching that first movie which you saw in the theaters, now everything's available on Amazon Prime and Netflix and all of that. Or even just opening up your marriage album. Right now, my father-in-law from morning has shared some amazing photos from 1985 about their marriage. And it's just beautiful. It just can't help but bring a smile. There's so much and there are such beautiful, special things you can do. And think about this as a time which you will never get again with your partner, and you can really make it special. And for those people in a relationship but who are in this long distance scenario, my heart goes out to you, but the best thing I can tell you is use technology to the fullest. Use every single means and methods available to video call each other and see each other's faces and really keep that bond going special. And a special tip for all those in a relationship, do that one job which your partner has been hoping you would pick up for the house, or something which you've always been forgetful or hesitant about. It'll make a world of a difference. I've been doing dishes, now I do dishes 3 times a day.
No, but it's a good time to actually explore this and work on. For example, there are activities that Akshay takes a lead on and I support, like cleaning or doing the dishes, and I take a lead on probably the kitchen and he supports me on that. So be proactive and creative about it.
And the last category, for those who are now out of a relationship,
Yeah.
this is a great time for introspection. They say that just looking out of the window and spending time looking at nature or society around you gives you insights about yourself that you could never have imagined possible. Delve yourself into documentaries or series which come closest to your current situation, and start paving a new path. This is that time when the world is refreshing itself, and so can you. I think that's what sums up the overall relationship gamut for us. We can move on to the professional and the educational front.
So, work from home is really familiar to me because my clinic is my home and my home is my clinic. Ask, that is Ask Shruti Kamath, is what Akshay and myself initiated in 2015, where we started reaching out to patients digitally across the globe. So I would see Akshay in his formal clothes, take his bag, and leave for work. While I was at home and I had to plan my day, I had to set my schedule myself. I had nobody telling me what to do. That's when the discipline of my day started setting in slowly. I started wearing formal clothes myself, sitting at home while working from home, even while taking virtual digital calls. I got myself a blackboard to write down my schedule for the day in advance, to be up to date with my to do list, categorize it correctly. I got myself an ergonomic chair to be comfortable without any back pain, sit at the right height and posture.
And actually, today, Google has produced a beautiful blog about how to make the best of your work from home time. And they've literally shared a calendar, like a paper calendar, which you can place next to yourself with 32 slots, which is 16 hours split
It's
into
amazing.
half an hour. And you can keep it next to you and literally plan, okay, this is what I'm going to do in this half hour, this half hour. It's like you have an Outlook calendar on your mail. You just extend that to encompass the complete day. With my entire team also working from home, and I'm sure that is not the situation everywhere. What we are trying to do is as many video calls, have 5 minutes at the start of the video call, just to ensure that everyone is in the right spirit, is feeling overall physically, mentally fine, because otherwise you can't expect them to be at their corporate best if the fundamentals are not okay.
Correct.
So keep work with humanity. Even if you are a student who is trying to keep his educational goals going, there are two things. One is, I know examinations getting postponed may not be the best thing for a student who is fully prepared, but you get this additional time. Take advantage of the situation, and you can be absolutely equally productive as you were in your house, because you got this commute time which you're saving. Yes, and that's additional productive time which you can work on. So yeah, that's our view from the corporate side. Again, please feel free to message us 1:1, and we can go into each of these topics in detail. Moving on to the last and the seventh topic. You guys have been very patient with us, so we'll keep it short. The last one is our interaction with the world. What are we doing for our entertainment? What are we doing for our information? What are we doing with our technology? I think today, we, out of the 16 waking hours, if we take our work time and our entertainment time, it would nearly be 12 to 13 hours of this time would be in front of the screen. Adding a laptop, a
Okay.
phone, and a TV screen together,
Okay.
it would nearly be 13 hours, and that's not the best solution right now.
That's a lot, right?
That's a lot. And we are in no way saying you need to compromise your work time. That's 7 to 8 hours. Take the requisite breaks and keep doing what you need to do. But be conscious
Yeah.
of the remaining screen time. Lift up a book. Take your eyes off that. Get into conversations with physical people in the house. You will feel better.
Or just relax.
or just relax, closing your eyes, listen to some good music. I think that's an amazing way to relax.
Or any art form for that matter, that be creativity, craft, painting, poetry writing.
Yeah, lift up
blogs.
that project which
Yeah.
has been pending for you.
Yeah.
I've seen so many of my classmates, my seniors on Facebook, getting back to the violin, the guitar, they're singing. It's just amazing what this period is doing for us. So overall, I think we'll just summarize this, and I'm just picking this up from this beautiful video sent by this online wonderful community called Radio Sai, where they're saying there are two things we are battling right now. The first is the fear of the epidemic.
The second is an epidemic of fear.
90% of diseases that affect the human body stem from a psychological effect. What we need to do is battle the epidemic of fear. The actual epidemic is being battled by those selfless doctors, nurses, scientists who are on the front lines. Help them by staying calm. Help them by staying happy. Help them by being grateful. Keep peace in society. Try to maintain peace in your family and try to maintain peace within yourselves. We both, Shruti and I, are one call away. Please feel free to drop us a WhatsApp message, call us at any point of time in the day when you need. We are putting our numbers in the description. Please absolutely reach out. We will try to generate more positive content and see that all of us as a family can tide over this event, which is a unique event. Let's not term it as a disaster. Let's be happy, let's be peaceful, and may the force be with you. Thank you.
And out of all that we have spoken, the one thing I want you to remember is that God has gifted us with our